7 on the calendar in the matter of Miller versus Hood. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat, please.
Miss Miller, this is your former daughter-in-law who is
Yes.
married to your son. They have 3 children together.
Yes.
How long have you been divorced?
Since 1992.
And you are remarried?
Yes.
There came a time when your former daughter-in-law and her husband were having some difficulty, and the 3 children came to live with you. One of the children remained with you. Is this the young man?
Jeremy, my grandson.
He's now 18?
Correct.
But he's been with you since he's 16. And it is your complaint that during that time, Miss Hood was receiving support from your son for his son.
Yes.
And was not sending that support to you.
Correct.
So you're suing for that support, and also what you believe is her obligation to send some support herself for
Yes.
her child. Ms. Hood says that the meager amount of money that your son was sending to support his 3 children hardly supported one child, and that there was never an agreement with you that she would send support. She quite frankly thinks that it's absurd that you should come to court now and ask for what is $18 a week that your son was sending for his son's support.
Right.
Where is your son?
My son is there, Trevor.
That would be you.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, stand up next to your mother, please. Your last name is?
Warman.
How many children do you have, sir?
3 by my ex-wife.
No, all together.
4.
What kind of work do you do, sir?
I'm a security guard.
How old are your children?
18, 17, 16, and 8.
Are you remarried?
No, ma'am.
Does the 8-year-old child live with you?
No.
Do you support the 8-year-old child?
Yes.
How much?
Right now we're going to court, and I'm in the process of getting medical insurance for her
So the answer would be nothing.
right now.
And how much do you send for your 16-year-old?
$69 per month.
Or $16 per week? That's what it comes down to. Or slightly more than $2 a day for your 16-year-old, right?
Okay.
Mr. Warman, I've just done the math on my trusty calculator because I'm not much of a mathematician.
He not only gives him money, but he also helps him, he buys them things. I mean, that's just not cut and dry. He bought sheets for their beds, but she didn't supply for their children's bed. He bought sheets for the beds because they didn't have any.
Oh, we're going to make him Father of the Year.
No, but I'm saying he does do other things. He doesn't just give the support. He does other things. He sees his children.
Miss Miller,
I disagree.
how many children did you raise?
4.
And who supported your children when they were growing up?
My husband's and
what
myself.
kind of work did he do?
Okay, I had 2 husbands. Okay, the first one worked at the post office, and my current husband works at a warehouse.
Is your former husband the father of the children?
The former husband, yes,
The former husband, the one who was a postal worker.
yes. And then I had another husband in between, and that was the other 2 kids. 2 children, 2 children. Well, it's like her. She,
No, don't point to her.
okay,
Don't point to
she's
her.
been married 3 times
Don't
too.
point to her. I'm not interested in her. I'm on your team now.
Okay,
Miss Warman, let's talk about how many people live in your house?
4.
Who are they?
My oldest son and Jeremy, and my husband and myself.
You have your own home?
Yes,
You have a mortgage?
yes.
What are the mortgage payments?
$1,100.
So you would say $1,100 a month. Okay, so that would be approximately for the 4 people, $275 a month towards the mortgage, right?
Yes.
How much would you say you spend for food for the month?
I spend a good $600 to $800 a month.
So another $200 a month for each of the adults.
Yes.
So now we're up to $475 just for food and the roof.
Right.
We're not talking about clothes or anything else. How can you justify, madam, $18 a week that your son is sending support for his children as coming anywhere near the kind of support that I'm speaking that a child needs? And I'm not talking about buying
Right.
pillowcases.
Right.
We're talking about support, real support. Now, if your son has a marginal job and can't afford anymore, fine. That's all he can afford. He wasn't too swift after not being able to support these 3 children. He went out and made another one, right?
Right.
You would say that that's true.
Yes.
How many children do you have?
I have 3 grown children.
No more.
No more.
At least she knew when she had enough. Do you understand, Miss Miller? Okay. Now, here we have $475 to just put a roof over their heads and to feed them.
I don't make that money. My husband makes money, and he's not his blood grandfather.
I understand that. I'm talking about your son.
Right. And that's what the court ordered him to pay was the $18.
And I want you to understand that that is ridiculous.
That could be. But
Ridiculous.
yes, it is. It's not enough.
$43 a month.
But the thing
It's
is,
ridiculous.
Right. But she doesn't have any children in her house now.
They're living
She
with
should, just a second, she should have been paying support for her child who was living with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. All I'm saying is...
It's very little.
All I'm saying is he's not blameless.
No.
And you should have, before you look towards a stranger, because she's a stranger to you, before you look to a stranger, you should have said to your son, who works a security job, get 2 jobs.
Right. And every time I needed something for Jeremy or Jeremy needs something, he asks his father, and his father gives him money for this and that. He has.
I'm not talking about giving his money
Oh, I
for
know.
this and that. I'm talking about helping you
Oh, yes.
pay the $475 a month that you say it takes to support a child.
Yes. More than that.
Believe me, it's more than that. It's just the roof and the food. But your first vision should not be to her. Your first vision should be to him.
That's why I go to him when we need extra things.
Good.
I don't go to her.
Now, what you want from her is the $18 a week she was receiving while he was in your care. Why didn't you send that to her, Mrs. Hood?
I was supporting my son. I picked him up. I took him places. I gave him money for things.
You're supposed to do that. You're his mother.
But
Right.
that's not true, Your Honor.
I don't want to hear from you, sir. When I hear any kind of substantial contribution to your children's support, I will listen to you. But right now, I didn't hear any of that from your mother. I heard you took them and got them things that they needed. Not saying to your mother, here is the $475 a month that it takes to put a roof over his head and feed him. I'm going to give that to you, and then we'll worry about everything else. So you have to be quiet.
Would you like me to sit down?
No, you can stand next to your mother.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What kind of work do you do now?
I will be a flight attendant
So the answer is you do not work now.
because I lost my job because of her.
Is anything your fault? I want to know if anything's your fault.
And later today,
Now she has the title free and clear. Do you want the car or nothing? Do you want the car or nothing?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marianne Miller says ex-daughter-in-law Kelly Hood owes for the cost to support her son. Marianne claims Kelly is a deadbeat mom.
You're supposed to take him and buy him things, madam.
Well, I know that. And I also give her support at the very beginning. Gave her the child support card. We get a little child support card.
$40.
Shh.
And it was misused, and the child support agency told me that I wasn't supposed to give it to her because I still had
I
custody
don't
of
know
him.
what you mean. You gave her the child support card. What does that mean?
That's where the child support comes on a little, like, credit card instead of sending you a check in the mail. So I give it to her to help support, and I was told I wasn't supposed to do that because I have custody of him.
Well, that's ridiculous, Miss Hood. You may have legal custody on a piece of paper, but you weren't putting food in his mouth 3 times a day. So that's ridiculous. Why did you even ask somebody? If you had a card, if what they do is they don't give you the money, but they give you a card, and it's really taken off of the card, why did you even have a discussion with anybody about that? His grandmother had physical custody of him. His father was sending $18 a week support. As minimal as it is, it should have been sent to his grandmother.
At that time, I had all
I'm
3 kids.
speaking. This is not what we're talking about, 3 children. We're only talking about 1. So the question is...
Well, the fact about it is this is a divorce decree that I've had custody of the kids ever since.
What difference does it make?
That he abandoned. He denied his parental rights that I
Listen to
have
me.
here.
Listen to me. Let us not go back in history.
And then this.
Let's look at me. Let's not go back in history. This young man went to live with his grandmother 2 years ago when he was 16. I don't want to hear about when he was 2 or 5 or 7 or 9 or 11 or 13. He went to live with his grandmother at your request when he was 16, and he has remained there. Now, she could have pursued support against you while he was there. She did not. And I'm not entertaining that. I'm not entertaining that part of her claim. Support against you personally. I just want to know is that you have any valid reason why you didn't turn over the support that you were receiving for him from his father to his grandmother.
Because she, like I said, she had misused it, and then the power of attorney
How did
says
she
that it doesn't
misuse?
have...
Just a second. How did she misuse the $18 a week?
Buying dinner for the family and cigarettes for him.
No, I didn't.
Shh. Buying dinner for the family on $18 a week? That's ridiculous, Miss Hood. What kind of work do you do?
I did have a job as shipping and
Is
receiving.
right now what you're saying to me? I don't care what you did in the past. What kind of work do you do now?
I will be a flight attendant
So the answer is you do not work now.
because I lost my job because of her.
Is anything your fault? I want to know if anything's your fault. Now, something must have happened recently that got your dander up. You want to tell me what it is?
Yes, back in November, her current husband choked one of my grandchildren, and the police were called.
Which grandchild?
Joshua, his brother.
His brother. And they went to
It's
court.
not true, Your Honor.
I have
Don't interrupt her. Go ahead.
paperwork on this. He choked the child, and Jeremy told his mother that he will not speak to her again if he accepts that man back in the house after he choked his brother. Jeremy's definitely afraid of her ex-husband. That's why he's living with me. She took him back in the house. Joshua and Jeremy went to live with his father. She went to court and had child support doubled, and she has none of the children living with her. And that kind of got my goat.
Got it. Well, we'd get my go too. Is the money still coming out of your check?
Yes, ma'am, every month, every
And the
week.
children are living with you?
Yes.
When did you go back to court?
I'm going to court February the 23rd for custody. I've got the motions filed in court to get him in school. I got him in school this
How old
month.
are the children?
16 and 15.
Well, if the children want to live with you, that's where they're going to live. Because
ma'am.
at this
Because
age.
they don't want to listen to me.
Excuse me?
That's because they do not want to listen to me, and they filled their heads with stuff.
Listen to me. For whatever reason, 15-year-old and a 16-year-old are going to make judgments, and the court's going to assign them a lawyer. And if the lawyer says, my clients want to live with their father, and unless somebody can establish that it would place them in a neglectful situation, that's where they're going to live. You owe her the $18 a week that you've been receiving from her son.
Even though he's back in arrears of child support of $2,000 that he's owed me for years.
Just a second.
And I've raised the kids all by myself without him even being in there.
Just a second. Listen to me very carefully. If he took custody of your son and he was in arrears in child support, we would not be having this discussion. We are having this discussion because his mother took custody of your son, and his mother supported him while you were receiving current support. Not a lot, little bit. You were receiving current support for him, and you cannot do that. You really cannot do that. You should have sent that money each and every week to her and said, I know it's not much. It's all that your son gives me for his support. As little as it is, I'm giving it to you to defray his expenses. You got it?
As she was so inspired about support, why'd she catch in my children's bonds that were supposed to be for their education?
But
to help
bonds-
get
No.
him-
Let her
to
finish.
get
Don't interrupt.
to get my ex-husband furniture, a stereo system with surround sound, a $300 chair, if she's so concerned about support.
That has nothing to do with you.
May I
If she, listen to me. If she wanted to take the $18 a week and blow it when you gave her the $18 a week and she went and took the $18 and put it in a Goodwill box, that's her prerogative. We're not saying that the money that you received for this child's support was enough to support him. It was not. It wasn't enough to keep him in orange juice. But it belonged to her, not to you, because you were not fulfilling your custodial responsibility by maintaining a home for him, which is the moral reason why you receive support. You were not maintaining a home for him. His grandmother was. So his grandmother was spending substantially more than $18 a week to support him. You had the obligation of forwarding that money to her. There's no discussion about it. You got the money, you keep it for a month, and you say, here's $18 times 4.3. I'm sending it to you by the month rather than by the week because it's just too much trouble, because I know you've been taking good care of him. And I assume if she wasn't taking good care of him, you would not have permitted him to stay there as his mother. Okay. Now, Miss Miller.
Yes.
What she owes you for the child support is $1,028, because that's the support that you should have forwarded to her for the 2 years that this child was in her custody. That's all. Thank you. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You know, the Trevor, the dad, you know, he's a high school dropout. He just wished he was like me.
Choked my son.
I mean, this guy is just so jealous of me.
He's threatened this boy right here.
I never laid any fingers on his kids. No, I did not.
How can a grown man threaten a child and choke a 15-year-old?
It's absolutely bogus. He's nothing. He's just desperate.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Termini versus 68 on the calendar in the matter of Powers versus Spielman. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Powers, this is your son?
Yes,
According to your complaint, your son and the defendant had been friends.
correct.
They were out together one evening. There was a falling out. Later that evening, according to you, the defendant slashed 3 of the tires on your car.
Correct.
You want him to be responsible for replacing them. Mr. Spielman says he didn't do it. What's your first name?
Andrew,
How old are you, Andrew?
23.
How long do you know Mr. Spielman?
I've known Mr. Spielman since about the 7th grade.
On what night were you out together, the night that the tires were slashed?
I believe it was a Friday night. I don't remember the exact
Remember the
date.
night?
29th, I think.
29th of?
December.
Where had you been?
We were on our way to Randy White's brother-in-law's boss's house.
You were driving?
Yes, I was driving.
What happened in the car?
An argument started because Brett Spielman wanted to get some marijuana and everybody else in the car was against that. And
Where did he want to go to get the marijuana?
To his dealer's house.
And did you know where that was?
No, I did not.
Did he tell you where it was?
No, he did not.
Was it on the way?
I hadn't even agreed to it, so he didn't get to the point of telling me where it was
Well,
at.
tell me exactly what he said.
He said, I want to go get some pot. Can you take me? And I said, no, and nobody else in this car wants to do that. Can you please stop with that altogether?
How many other people were in the car?
2, besides me and Brett.
And who are they?
Randy White and Brandon, his brother-in-law, which I do not know his last name.
So what happened?
So I said no, and he started ranting and raving and basically turned it into an argument with Randy White, and they were going back and forth, and I didn't want to hear it anymore, so I said, please stop, because they didn't get along anyway. So it basically had turned into an argument with them, and I said...
Where was he sitting, in the front or the back?
He was sitting in the front seat, beside me.
Okay, go ahead.
And then we had arrived to Randy's boss's house. We had both got out of the car while Randy and his brother-in-law went upstairs. We were downstairs smoking a cigarette, and it was going to take a turn to get violent because he was saying threats and all this.
Against whom?
Against me.
Why was he threatening you? I thought he was having an argument with Randy.
The argument was with Randy, but I took involvement in it because Randy was a lot smaller than him, and I didn't want it to go there, so I stepped up in Randy's place, and then
what
basically
did you say to him?
The focus came on me. I said, you need to stop all this right now or I'm going to make you walk home. And he said, you're not going to make me walk home, this and that.
Had he been drinking?
Have I been drinking?
Had he been drinking?
No, I do not think he had been drinking.
It was just nasty?
Yeah, he was just nasty with me.
Okay, keep going.
And then Randy and his brother-in-law had come back down, and we all got in the car, and I said I'm going to make him walk home because he's just being too defiant for any of us to deal with.
What did he say when you told him he was going to walk home?
He got even worse, but...
Well, tell me what he said, Mr. Peck.
He was using a lot of cuss words, a lot of profanity, a lot of I'm going to everybody in that car, and just threats.
And that was on the 29th of December?
Yes.
What time?
I would say it was about 8 p.m.
Okay. Now let's fast forward a little bit, Ms. Powers. Tell me about the incident involving your tires. When did that take place?
December 30th.
What time?
I would say around shortly before 10, but not exactly. I don't know.
So tell me what happened.
Okay. It was a very, very stormy night. The wind was blowing and howling, and it was raining a lot. And the dog was circling the front door. And she was like yipping and barking, and she doesn't usually have that kind of behavior at all unless someone's at the door. But I opened the door and nobody was there. She kept doing it. So I opened the door again, and Mr. Spielman was standing on the other side of the car. My driveway comes up where the car is parked directly outside my front door, so I can clearly see it. And I said, what are you doing? Because it's kind of late to be coming over. And I thought he was coming to see my son, and just looked at me and took off.
Didn't say anything to you. Okay, keep going.
The next day I got up to go to work, and I, of course, didn't see the first tire because it was fine. Walked around the car and saw 1, 2, 3 tires flat. And so I called someone to come and take me to get new tires and called into work.
Okay, when did you see Andrew?
I saw him later that day.
Do you remember that day, Andrew?
Not too clearly. I remember her saying that 3 of my tires were slashed. Do you have any idea who would do it? And I said, I most certainly have an idea of who did it.
Well, I also
Shut up!
Okay.
Don't speak. You said, I most certainly have an idea who did it.
Yes, regarding the incident.
And so you told your mother about the incident?
Yes.
And what did your mother say to you?
And then she said, I seen Brett in our driveway. I was thinking he would come up to get you, because at the time she didn't think I was enemies with Brett. And I said, well, that's who did it.
Okay. So when you said to her, I certainly do, and then she said to you, I saw
Brett in the driveway. And then we knew right there who it was.
Okay, good.
I just didn't think Brett would have done anything like that to me.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Spielman. Now I'm listening to you.
The statement's completely false.
Listen to me. Let's get to the car on the 29th of December.
Okay, cool. We were in the car.
Look at me. Don't look over there. You're in the car.
We are in the car. We do have a conflicting argument about something Okay, marijuana. I do what I do on my
Listen to me.
time away from you.
Let's go slowly. You're in the car and you have an argument. You have an argument about what?
I really cannot even remember. Honestly, don't remember.
You just told me it was about marijuana.
If it was about marijuana, I'm saying I'm not denying that, because I do smoke marijuana on my pastime from time to time.
So that if Andrew says that the argument was about stopping to buy marijuana, that would be
It could
accurate.
have been, but it couldn't have been.
Well, if you don't remember, sir, then I have to credit Andrew's account of the evening of the 29th, because that would seem to be something that you would remember. Where do you live?
Sacramento.
And how far did you have to walk home?
I didn't walk home. See, that's where the story changes. He ended up giving me a ride home.
Did you ultimately give him a
No,
ride
I
home?
did not give him a ride home, Your Honor.
Okay. Did he threaten to leave you stranded?
Yes, he did, but it was raining pretty bad outside, so I kind of negotiated my way to get a ride home.
What do you mean you kind of negotiated?
Well, I
your
said
way to
it's
drive?
kind of raining out and I don't have a coat, and it would keep kind of messed up. I had to walk home.
You've known this family for a very long time.
Very
How old
long
are you
time.
now?
21 years old.
Currently on probation?
Juvenile, almost off. I'm going National Guard
So
about a
the
month.
answer is yes, you're currently on probation.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been on probation?
Since I was like 17.
Keep going.
Okay. Are we still on the 29th, or are we going the 30th?
No, I'm past the 29th. I credit Mr. Geraldson's account of what happened on the 29th,
Okay.
sir. I believe he told me the truth. I believe you had an argument starting with Randy, ending up with Andrew about your desire to stop at the person who supplies you with marijuana, to get some marijuana, and they didn't
couldn't
want to
have been
do
anything,
it.
though.
I'm speaking. And they didn't want to do it, and you became aggressive, and that's what the argument was about. So since you don't remember something that I probably would remember, but something that clearly you don't remember.
It was a year ago.
Well, I would remember, sir, a falling out that I had with a child.
He wasn't a very good friend. He always
Why don't you
bickers.
let me finish my statement, sir? Listen to the statement that I'm going to say to you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So is what you're telling me, sir, that you were together with your mother and the rest of your family?
Yes, I am.
And if I were to ask you, you would tell me that your son was home with you?
And later today,
Together off and on suggests to me that when it was off, it was because it wasn't good, right?
Yes.
Did you think having a baby was going to make it better?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 23-year-old Andrew Geraldson says his former friend, Brett Spielman, slashed 3 of his tires. Andrew claims his mother witnessed the incident.
If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. Do you know what that means, Mr. Spielman?
Honestly, I do.
Tell me what it means.
It means if I know what happened, I don't have to remember. Look for the answer.
Right. That's what it means. So you're telling me it was over a year ago?
Over a year ago.
I'm speaking. And therefore, you can't quite remember everything that happened that evening. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So if you don't remember what happened on the evening of the 29th, which clearly, you know, you're in a car with people, there's a big argument, it's raining very badly, you have to negotiate your way back to the car in order to get a ride home. These are all little smatterings of things that you remember, right? Little smatterings of things that you remember.
Yeah.
You don't remember all of it, but you remember little pieces of it.
Most of it.
You remember most of it.
Yes.
So the argument was about marijuana.
Yes, it was. I feel
Perfect.
so.
Now that your memory has been refreshed, why don't you tell me about the 30th?
The 30th.
Look at me.
The 30th. Well, my mom can vouch that I was with her.
I don't ask your mom to vouch for anything, sir. I'm
Okay.
asking you.
On the 30th, I was at my residence from 6 o'clock in the night, and I fell asleep on my couch with my entire family with a movie night. The night before New Year's Eve, my mom volunteers at a local social club she's involved in on New Year's Eve, so we always are together on most holidays and that night usually.
Well, just a minute. I don't understand something. Does your mother volunteer her time at I'm
volunteer-
speaking!
Well, you are.
Does your mother volunteer her time at a social club, sir, so that she's not home on the 30th, so the rest of your family gets together? Is that what you're just telling me?
No, the night before we all stay together because we're going to be separated on New Year's Eve.
So is what you're telling me, sir, that you were together with your mother and the rest of your family?
Yes, I am.
And if I were to ask you, you would tell me that your son was home with you?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be unfortunate. That would be unfortunate.
I'm sorry.
I have a couple of questions for you. What does he do for a living?
He's going to the National Guard. He's been working.
So the answer is he doesn't do anything.
He's not working currently, no.
And he's not going to school?
No.
And how long have you permitted that circumstance?
He's only not worked a few months. He's going...
A few months is a very long time for somebody who's 21 years old and on probation. What did he do before a couple of months ago? Who did he work for?
A company called Prologix.
What kind of work did he do?
Warehouse work.
And why did he leave that job?
They merged with another company and downsized.
So he got fired?
Laid off.
How many
Taxpayer.
children? Did I ask you a question?
No, you didn't, but it's just making me sound worse than I am, you know? Be fair, too.
I don't mind being fair, sir, when people tell me the truth.
I'm honestly telling you the truth.
Oh, no, you're not. The sweat on your brow tells me you're not.
I'm on TV.
Did you see sweat there? Look. You see sweat there?
No.
There. Look at your mother. Is she sweating? You know why she's not sweating? Because I didn't ask her what happened on the 30th. That's why she's not sweating. If I asked her what happened on the 30th, I guarantee you she'd be, when I got finished with her, she'd be sweating. How much were the tires?
Our tires were popped, too.
I'm not asking you a question.
I have the invoice here.
Can I see it, please?
Excuse me, Judge.
Yes.
May I submit my receipt for towing?
Absolutely. I'd like to see it, please. So between the towing and the tires, you have $394. Is that right?
Roughly, yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $394. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
You're lucky your probation wasn't violated.
He chose to act as a coward and slash my mom's tires.
A variety of his friends could have done it.
In the future, if he wants to give me back, he can give me back to my face.
We were not really friends anymore, kind of falling out.
I've always told my son, if you lay down with dogs, you're going to get fleas. He was laying down with some dogs.
Damian Cecile is suing his former friend, Amy Brown, for money he paid to get her started in a vitamin selling business. Amy claims Damian breached his end of the deal.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 453 on the calendar in the matter of Cecile versus Brown. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Pronounce your last name for me.
Cecile.
Mr. Cecile, I want you to understand that I have some familiarity with the kind of business that you're in. Do you want to explain it to Bert, or would you like me to do it?
The nature of the business?
Yes.
Essentially, I have my friend Ronald here who has been in the business for 12 years, and he...
Ronald doesn't have to explain it.
Okay.
I'm going to, in very simplistic terms, explain it to Bert. You tell me if I'm wrong.
All right.
Simple. You have this vitamin bottle, because that's what they sell, vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
And Ronald, that's this guy over here, he's been in the business 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
He sometimes sells these vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
But what he does mostly is get other people under him who sell vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
And depending upon at what level they buy in, they could buy in with $500 or $1,000 or $2,000, they get product. He brings him in. Mr. Sincere over here buys $5,000 worth of product. He gets a piece of that.
Sure.
So it's like slavery, you know. What you do is he brings in, what's your first name?
Damien.
He brings in a lot of Damiens. Damien 1, Damien 2, Damien 3, Damien 4. And whatever Damien orders from the business, not sells, but orders from the business, Ronald gets a piece of.
Multi-level marketing.
Correct. Now, so then it inures to Damien 1 through 5. They say, listen, we want to be Ronald too.
Of course.
So we're going to see if we can get, what's your name? Amy. A whole bunch of Amy's under us to buy as much product as he can, because they get a piece of whatever Amy buys.
Of course.
And
him
they
too.
also, and so does Ronald.
That's right.
Because Ronald gets a smaller piece of Amy, but he still gets a piece of Amy. And then, what's your name?
Damien.
What's your name?
Cody.
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 Amy then says, I want to get a whole bunch of Codys because that's the way I'm going to make my money. And he's going to get a little piece of Cody, and he's going to get a smaller piece of Cody, but everybody's going to get a piece of Cody. That's the way the game works.
Oh, yeah.
Got it?
That's right.
Pretty much. Now, you also reach certain levels in this business, because if you're a master, or if you're a guru, or if you're a titan, or if you're an Ogatunji, whatever it is, what happens is they give you perks.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get perks in your business, like a car?
If you get high enough, you do.
Ah!
Yeah,
I'm not there yet. You think this is a scheme that I haven't been through a couple of times in my life?
No, I didn't say that.
All right, I got it. So if you get up really high, if you get to be a Grandmaster Ungatunji, they give you a BMW.
Of course.
Or they give you a Mercedes. So there are advantages for Ronald to get a whole bunch of Damians, and for Damians to get a whole bunch of Amy's, and for Amy's to get a whole bunch of Cody's, because in addition to getting the money, you also get the perks. That's the drill. Now, Damien over here got Amy involved in the business, and she bought inventory. How much worth, sir?
It was worth $5,000.
What are you asking him for? The questions are going to get harder.
Oh my. I think it was worth about $5,000, and he actually put up $3,300.
Okay, but you put up the money for her.
Yes, I did.
On your credit card.
Yes, I did.
Because you were hoping that she was going to do well in the business, and she wasn't such a good salesperson. And she couldn't find a Cody. If she killed herself, she couldn't find a Cody. So you ended up getting stiffed for your money.
Correct.
And she sent back some of her product.
Right, some of it.
But you want, because you're stuck with the bill now, because you're not a Grandmaster Ogatunji yet.
Right.
There isn't any such thing as a
There may be,
Grandmaster
I'm not that high
Ogatunji,
up.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of made that up because it sounded funny. So you want her to pay you the money. Ms. Brown says you gave her all kinds of sales pitch. You told her she was going to make a fortune, that there were Codys floating around under every rock, that she was going to be able to sell these vitamins, that they were the greatest thing since sliced bread. And she couldn't do it because she was no salesperson. And since you didn't help her, she sent back the product that she hadn't used. If you have the bill, that's your problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
These are slick guys. This is the way they make a living. Ronald makes a good living. What kind of car do you drive, Ronald?
I drive a BMW.
And later today,
I called his dad hoping he would be able to help me out.
And what did he say to you?
He told me that I should do small claims court.
I'm going to give your dad a call.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Damian Cecere says he helped friend Amy Brown with a loan to get started in a vitamin selling business. Damian claims Amy has yet to pay him back.
Okay, we have certain things that we understand. We understand that he bought in for $3,300 and put it on his credit card. That is an agreed state of fact. It is also agreed that you agreed to pay him back that money for starting you in this business. This was going to be your business. You were going to be a grand female Ugatunja. Didn't work out. Wasn't your thing. So what did you do?
I asked for his help several times.
How did you do that?
Either phone conversations or via email.
And what did he say to you?
Usually it was, yeah, we need to get together and talk about this, which never happened. And after so many attempts, I just sent all the product back.
And what did he say?
He was fine with it as far as I knew. I told him I was going to do it, and he said he understood.
So, when did he decide to sue you?
I just was served about 2 weeks ago.
When was this that you sent back the product?
Believe it was May or June of 2006.
So why did you wait to sue her, sir? Is not an answer.
Okay. I wanted to work with Amy to give her an opportunity to pay back the remaining balance.
Well, had you asked her for it?
Of course.
How many times did you ask her for the balance?
Numerous. Both on the phone, and then when she started not returning my phone calls, our relationship was degraded to emailing. And I have in emails that she said she would indeed pay back the remaining balance.
Can I see it, please?
May I say something else, Your Honor?
Yes.
I absolutely did make every attempt to not only talk to Amy on the phone, but to get together with her, to involve her in opportunity meetings. Ronald also met her in Anaheim for a meeting. I feel like we put forth a very fair and aggressive effort to assist her with this.
It is clear to me that over the course of several months, you agreed to pay him.
And I agreed to make payments.
So why didn't you?
Because at the time I had lost my job, I was laid off, and I just bought my condo. And
you just bought your condo?
I just bought a condo, and then I was laid off, and then I was trying to get caught up with my other bills, which were a priority.
Well, then you acknowledge this debt to him.
A portion of it.
Well, which portion of it, madam?
I agreed to, okay, he had agreed to help me with.
Listen, we're beyond that. We had agreed to help you. Now I have emails where you clearly acknowledge the debt, which belies what you told me, that he breached his contract to help you, which is why you don't have to pay him. So now we know that you agreed to pay him. So I'm asking you why. Is it because you bought a condo?
No, the condo was prior to even meeting him.
Well, so what does that have to do with paying him back?
Well, no, I had been laid off, and that's when I met him, and he convinced me to do this so that I could make money. Then
it didn't work out, and you returned the product, and you still said, I'm going to pay you. So what stopped you?
Well, I didn't agree with the amounts that he was saying I owed him.
Well, how much do you say you owe him? That's where I started 5 minutes ago.
Okay, I believe I owe him maybe $1,000 just based on the portions of it that I was able to sell.
Well, how much did you sell?
Maybe a couple $100 worth to just friends.
Where are your records?
There's no record. I mean, you sell the container to people for cash.
What do you mean, you sell it for cash and then you don't report it to anybody? Not even the government? How do you expect to pay your taxes?
Well, I don't know. This is something he was supposed to help me with.
He's not supposed to help you with that. This is your business.
Well, this is what he promised to help me with. I have the emails where he stated he promised to help me as well.
How much product? $3,300. How much product did she send back?
She returned $699.30, which was credited to my credit card. And she gave me a personal check for $300.
And you cashed it?
Of course.
Good.
Also, Your Honor, originally I gave Amy a can, 2 cans of product, which I said you can pay me back for. Just give me the same cans once you get your order, and she never did, so I had added that in as well.
You're going to have to live with that, sir. Damien.
Okay.
So she returned $700 worth of product, bringing it down to $2,600, and she gave you $300, leaving a grand total of $2,300.
And they actually prorated that, that they don't refund you the full amount. So they only give you, I think, 80 to 90% back.
And
that's what was credited to his credit card.
Well, that's all right. He has to be made whole. You're a big girl. How old are you?
36.
What?
36.
36. 36 years old. You make a decision. It doesn't work out. You have to take care of the consequences. These are slick guys. This is the way they make a living. They find people who are young, looking to start a new life, start a new business, not worked out in other fields, and they say, listen, you can make a lot of money. And some people make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Ronald makes a good living, right? Damien, I don't know. Do you make a good living?
I'm working on it.
Well, how much did you earn last year?
With Just Relive?
Yes.
I'd have to look at my tax return.
Let's try to give me a round ballpark figure, Damien.
I'm going to say probably around $8,000.
8? Mm-hmm. You make a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
You've been there 12 years.
Yeah.
How long have you been in, Damien?
About 3 years.
Oh, when you're there 12 years, you're going to have that Mercedes you want.
I hope so.
What kind of car do you drive, Ronald?
I drive a BMW.
Now.
Can I say something?
Sure.
The business has a 1-year money-back guarantee. So at any point, she could have returned the product and got 90% of her money back. The business isn't designed for people to fail. If they don't want to do it, if they get a new job, that's okay. So if there was ever a discrepancy, she could have returned all the product and Damien would have got reimbursed. So.
But she didn't.
Right.
She's got to pay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sure.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,300. Thank you. That's all.
Bodies are excused. You may step out.
Amy has a very dynamic personality. She knows a lot of people. That's why I thought she'd be successful.
He was a friend, and I was in a bad position and needed the money.
I feel bad because I like Amy, and I wish her good luck on whatever she decides to do.
I believe there's a few people that can make it, and the rest just kind of fall by the wayside.
It's unfortunate. I guess it's part of life. We've moved on. No hard feelings against Amy, and I'll continue to do this business.
On the calendar in the matter of Beischer versus Schmidt.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat, please.
This used to be your boyfriend. When you were having a lapse in judgment while he was your boyfriend, you co-signed on a credit card for him to buy a dirt bike because he couldn't get it on his own.
Correct.
And the agreement was that he was to make the payments faithfully on that credit card.
That's correct.
He did make payments for a period of time on the credit card, and you separated. But he agreed to continue to make the payments on his bike, which he was using and which he took with him. Correct?
Correct.
Then there came a time that you and your fiance, this would be fiance, went to purchase a car, and you found out that your credit was awful. When you checked to ascertain why, according to your complaint, you found out that Mr. Schmidt had not been faithfully making on time the credit card payments on his bike. So what you want now is you want him to pay off that credit card so that hopefully you can get your credit restored.
That's correct.
Mr. Schmidt says that he was paying off the credit card until you slashed his tires.
That's ridiculous.
Shh. So that the fault is really yours for slashing his tires, causing him to lose his job. Have we joined the issue, Mr. Schmidt? Hello? You say in your answer it's really her fault.
Yes, I believe it is.
Perfect. I would like to see the date of the credit card loan and the history of payments.
I have that right here. This only goes back a year. They wouldn't.
Fine. Okay. Now, Mr. Schmidt, on what day, sir, do you claim your tires were slashed?
On May 8th of 2006, I had 2 tires on my vehicle that were slashed. And then also again in October of 2006, I had another tire slash on my car.
Just a second. After which incident, sir, did you lose your job?
The second.
So it's really the October of 2006 incident that you claim caused you to lose your job.
Yes.
And fall behind in your payments.
Yes.
So it would be a fair statement, sir, that it wasn't until October of 2006 that you started making either late payments or skipping payments or anything else. Up until that time, they were okay.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Your Honor, can I point something out?
Shh. Maybe, if I need some help. Well, sir, in September of 2006, which was before your tire was slashed, you had a late fee of $39.
Okay.
That's before, right?
Yep.
And in August, which was before your slashed tires, you had a late fee of $39.
That would be after the first.
You just told me, sir, that you didn't lose your job until after the October incident.
Yes, but missing days of work.
No. Baloney. The issue was that after the October incident, you lost your job because of the tire slashing, causing you to fall behind in your payments. And you said to me prior to that time you were on time with your payments. So we now have August and September where you were late. Are you following me, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes, I am.
Who is this?
This is my witness, Jason.
Maybe. Jason. Now we have July. Late, Mr. Schmidt. And how much, sir, were you supposed to pay every month?
It's about $70.
So sometimes you didn't pay at all. And then you sort of doubled up the next month, right?
Yes.
You can't do that. You know you can't do that. Look at what we have here. A June late assessment. And you didn't make a payment. Whole month of June.
Is it possible, though, that me without a vehicle, how is it possible for me to get to work, to make money, to make payments on this?
What are you talking about? Who cares about whether you have a vehicle?
How do you get to work?
I don't care how you get to work. Walk, crawl, get your witness to pick you up. Now, let's go back to before the first incident, Mr. Schmidt, that you allege she slashed your tires, which you have to prove to me anyway. Let's go back to April now. Even you will know, Mr. Schmidt, that April comes before May,
yes.
Right? How do you account for the late charge in April, Mr. Schmidt?
I don't.
Right. So the cock and bull story that you gave me is just that. You've been making late payments on this loan forever, because we also have one for March. So what do I care how you get to work? How did Abe Lincoln get to school? I'm waiting for an answer.
Walk.
That's what he did. He walked. And you remember from grammar school how many miles he walked to school every day?
No, I don't.
I think it was 5 miles each way, wasn't it, Bert? I think something like that. 5 miles each way. Do you understand, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
When somebody else does a nice thing to you, what you're supposed to do is not be a pig. If you want to, you get the loan totally out of her name, and then if you want to screw up your credit, you do it. But you don't screw up her credit. Now, How much is left on the loan?
The grand total is about $6,700.
Well, the maximum I can award you is $5,000. You understand that? And the check will be directly to the credit card company which holds the loan.
Yeah.
You're still responsible, as is he, for the remainder of it,
Right.
and he's responsible to pay it.
Right.
Who do you work for?
I actually just got a new employment job. It's DeLuca and Tobin. It's a drilling company.
Well, you would have no objection if they deducted the remainder of the balance, anything over $5,000 from your check, would you? Listen to what I just said. You owe the money. You have the dirt bike, don't you?
Yes.
The maximum I can give her is $5,000. That will be made directly to the credit card company. You still owe them about $1,600. Are you prepared to sign an authorization to allow them to take the remainder of the money at a periodic payments out of your check?
Yes.
Perfect. We will prepare that order and send it over to the drilling company and any other company that you might work for subsequently. Do you understand?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Schmidt, you sure you want me to do this to your friend? You sure you want me to do this to your friend?
Yes.
Be my pleasure, sir.
And later today,
You can't complain about it if somebody says, this is really funny. I want to send it to everybody that I know who knows this jerk who posted this on Craigslist.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ashley Beischer claims the father of her child, Joshua Schmidt, owes for a $5,000 loan to buy a motorcycle. Joshua is countersuing, claiming Amy slashed his tires twice.
Okay, let's get to the slashed tires. Did you slash his tires in May?
Absolutely
You don't
not.
look like a tire slasher.
No.
You didn't see her slash your tires, did you?
No, I didn't.
Did you?
I did not see her, no.
Step up. Your name?
Jason
Jason what?
Moyer,
How do you know her?
through him.
When was the last time you had any contact with her?
While.
A while is not a month,
Well,
a
I
year.
don't talk to her, but I've seen her around town.
When was the last time you had contact with her?
Last fall, or around there.
Tell me about that contact.
Well,
Look
I was,
at me.
I was at the bar and I had walked by and
Bar, what bar?
Krieger's possibly.
What do you mean Krieger's possibly?
Well, it was either that bar or another one over there.
What time?
Probably 8 or 9 at night.
What date?
I'm not exactly sure.
What month?
October or November.
Mr. Schmidt, you sure you want me to do this to your friend? You sure you want me to do this to your friend?
Yes.
Be my pleasure, sir. You're walking by the bar that you don't know on a date that you don't remember, in a year that perhaps you remember, and tell me what you believe you have that is germane to this case.
Well, I had heard her and her friends laughing about how his tires had been popped.
Yes?
Yeah, so I assumed she had something to do with it.
Oh, well, then you assume. Good. Do you have anything else that's germane to this case?
I did pick him up for work, too, a couple times.
I don't care about that. Sit down. You have anything else on the tire slashing, sir?
I just have a copy of, actually, no, I do not have
Good.
this on me.
Thank you very much. Your counterclaim is dismissed. You owe $5,000 and we will prepare.
20-year-old Andrew Gossett is suing his ex-roommate, Brandon Roten, for breaking their apartment lease. Brandon says he moved out due to a legal dispute with Andrew.
Where do you gentlemen come from?
Wichita, Kansas. Wichita, Kansas as well.
Who lost their luggage? You had no clothes?
No clothes, ma'am.
Let me see the outfit that you got yourself put together with. Not bad. Okay, Mr. Gossett, this is what your case is about. You, the defendant, and I think one other young man decided to room together. You signed a lease, and the defendant moved out 4 months prior to the lease terminating. And you have been taking care of his share of the rent for that 4-month period. The defendant says that your actions forced him out of the apartment, and therefore he's not responsible for the rent. When did you sign this lease?
August 29th, 2006.
The third roommate was who?
David.
Where is David now?
He's a full-time grad student at Lawrence. Otherwise, I would have him as a
In
witness.
Kansas?
In Kansas, yes.
You go to school as well?
Yes, I go to Butler Community College.
And you?
I do as well, Butler Community College.
Are you angry with each other?
We haven't really spoken in the past 4 or 5 months. I have no hostility towards Brandon.
You just want your money? Okay. When did you move out, sir?
I moved out in the last day of October due to certain circumstances and situations.
Okay. So you moved out and there was still 4 months left to go on the lease.
Yes.
And you understand, Mr. Roten, that it is your burden to establish to me that you had just cause to leave. Otherwise, you're really responsible for this money.
Yes, ma'am.
That fair?
I believe so, yes.
Ball's in your court, sir. Let me hear you.
Okay. September 29th of 2006, we were still living at the time with David and Andrew. We were proceeding up to Lawrence to actually check out KU and the nightlife as well.
KU.
Kansas University, I'm sorry. We stopped at a gas station to fill up and get some refreshments. Andrew Gossett actually had placed an alcoholic beverage on the dashboard of the vehicle. There was a park ranger.
You mean a beer?
A beer, yes.
I've heard of that. They did have beer in the Stone Age when I was...
The park ranger proceeded over to investigate the matter, check if we were all 21.
Investigate the beer?
Investigate the beer. He discovered that
Were you driving, sir?
No. No. They had to search the vehicle because none of us were 21, and they proceeded to find drugs and things like that in the car.
What kind of drugs did they find?
Marijuana.
Anything else?
No, just a bong with it.
What would that be?
Just what you would smoke it out of, I guess. I really don't know the
An
actual
implementation for using the marijuana.
Yes, ma'am.
For those of us who may not be educated. So they found marijuana. Where did they find it?
In the glove compartment of the vehicle.
Whose car was it?
The driver that...
Whose car was it?
Not one of ours. It was another friend's.
So what happened?
Well, after that, the cop investigated each one of us, asking questions. Andrew Gossett said that all four of us were responsibility for the marijuana, and the other three of us said no, that was not correct. It was Andrew Gossett's marijuana. That was the dispute between me and him.
Was it your marijuana?
No, ma'am.
Whose was it?
It
was collectively kind of an apartment deal. I actually did not bring it into the vehicle. That was proven when this case took place.
So the case was tried?
Yes. Yes. And I pled not guilty.
And what happened with it?
I was charged with obstructive possession, which means I was in a vehicle...
Not obstructive. Constructive.
Constructive. All right.
Obstruction means that you were against something. Constructive means that even though it wasn't in your hand, you are charged with possession of it. Do you understand?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
You're right.
Constructive.
Constructive possession. And that being said, there were 4 people involved.
Could you get to the bottom line?
Yes. When we all got out of the vehicle...
Were you convicted?
Yes, I was convicted.
Were you convicted?
No.
How many people in the vehicle were convicted?
1.
Did you go to trial?
Yes, I did. I testified against him.
You testified against Mr. Gossett?
Yes, ma'am.
That might make it tacky to live together after that.
My 2 other witnesses actually testified for me and under oath. When they made their testament to the police officer, they might have said it was mine, but all 4 of us were smoking it.
Well, you weren't all smoking it in the car, were you? You were?
Yeah.
So he didn't just find an open beer can in the car. The officer must have smelled this marijuana if you were all smoking in the car. Mr. Gossett, of all the people, you were the only one convicted, and I gather you were convicted on the testimony of Mr. Roten.
Yes.
You would agree that that might make it sort of tacky to share a room with him, right?
Yes. But he did move out before we even went to trial. Trial didn't happen until a matter of a month ago, so...
Well, but he moved out because there was going to be a trial, and he was being...
He moved out because he got his girlfriend pregnant.
Oh.
Well, somebody was actually responsible.
Just a second. When did you first, Mr. Roten, speak to the district attorney about testifying at the trial?
I believe it was December 31st, and then I actually went and testified February 12th.
But you moved out, sir, in October.
Yes.
So you didn't move out because of this. You moved out because of your girlfriend.
No, I moved out because there was a lot of tension between me and Andrew because he was actually making threats that he was the only one that got arrested and he's taking everybody down.
That's incorrect. It was not hostile at all towards Brandon. I understood the matter at the time.
Well, tell me.
He even helped bail
Gossett,
me out, so I did
Mr.
appreciate
Gossett,
that.
Tell me, sir, about the situation when Mr. Roten moved out in October.
All right. Brandon is very close with his family. I respect that. He was 18 at the time. He was not guided in the way of living on his own. I priorly lived at 2 apartments.
There's no such word as priorly.
Okay, yeah, I just made that up.
I know.
And I kind of noticed some instability after a month, which, you know, made kind of my relationship and his, that there was tension between us.
What efforts did you make, Mr. Roten, to get another roommate?
I had actually been contacted with one of my friends acknowledging that I want to move in for you. I need a place, and I don't want you to be responsible for the rent. His name is Daniel.
Did Daniel move in?
Daniel did actually move in as a guest for a matter of, I think, maybe 11 days to 2 weeks. He actually owes me money now, too, for rent as well. And
so he didn't pay rent?
No, he didn't.
I have checks saying
he paid a portion of 1 month's rent and then...
Paid a portion of 1 month's rent?
Yeah.
That didn't work out. Did you know Daniel left?
No, I did not.
Did you advise him that Daniel left?
No, because at the time I had no contact with Brandon.
Well, how do you know Mr. Roten was aware of the fact that Daniel left? He found
because
another
I think
roommate.
Daniel and him have excellent communication in comparison with me and
Well,
Dan.
you don't know that, sir.
I know.
You know that. That's a problem. You see, I believe Mr. Roten had the obligation to help find a new roommate.
And in reality, he did not find the roommate. I did come to Daniel because Daniel got evicted from his previous lease.
So you did find another roommate?
Yeah, I found him, but he did not stay for long. He had been evicted from his prior lease. The bills added up, and Daniel couldn't afford it. He came to his grandma. His grandma paid. I mean, the bank account is through his grandma. The check that was written to me.
So you picked
maybe
a bad
2 checks for
roommate.
various- Exactly.
Well, then,
I picked
then
a
Mr.
situation
Gossett,
where-
Mr. Gossett, if you picked a bad roommate, you cannot visit that on Mr. Roten. You see, if he left and you substituted another roommate that you thought would cover his portion of the rent, and you picked somebody that you knew was financially unstable, you see, the only thing that Mr. Roten had to do, if you didn't do it, was to find someone else. He absolutely had to, under the circumstances, because I think that this tension, some of it had to do with this, and some of it had to do with the fact that you, is this your girlfriend?
Yes, it is.
Well,
Fiance, actually, no.
Fiance. You are affianced? I've always wanted to use that word. Are you living at home?
No, I own my own house now.
Great. Who pays for it?
Me,
From what?
from my job.
Good. Do you have any other roommate in your house now?
I don't live there anymore. I live in an apartment with my girlfriend.
When did you move out?
When the lease was up,
What about the other roommate that you had?
Dave made it aware to me that he was going to be entering graduate school. He left for Lawrence, I think, a month and a half before our lease was up, but he did make arrangements to find a roommate, and that roommate worked out great. So
Great.
to cover
Well, you
his
made
portion.
arrangements to find Daniel, but Daniel didn't work out great.
But see, Daniel had actually lived with me 6 months before at an apartment, and he made all his bills, paid everything on time, was great
You
with
just
that.
told me that Daniel moved in because he had financial problems.
No, Daniel moved in because his lease was broke. Like, he got evicted.
You just told me that. You just finished telling me that, Mr. Gossett, that Daniel moved in because he had some financial problems because he got evicted. You don't evict a good tenant.
No, it wasn't financial problems. It was actually like gang violence or something.
You just
Some
told me it
people
had to
broke
do with
into.
his grandmother's bank account,
No,
Mr.
no,
Gossett. You keep
his
talking.
grandmother pays for everything.
Yeah, okay.
He has
Mr.
a-
Gossett, you picked a bad third roommate. It was really his responsibility to choose somebody, but if you chose somebody and that didn't work out, you cannot visit that on Mr. Roten. Your case is dismissed. Are you happy now? Are you happy where you are?
No.
You're not happy where you are?
Oh, I'm happy where I am now, yes.
Are you happy where you are?
Yes, ma'am.
Go back to Kansas.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Me being a college student, a hard worker, I pay all my bills on my own. I don't feel I should have to meet someone else's needs.
I think that, she obviously saw that rent was actually being paid and that the release was actually being paid, so there was no money needed.
It's just a financial matter. I can't afford to come up with $1,200 on my own.
There was many, many things going on that I didn't want to be a part of.
There was tension, but we didn't even find out I was pregnant until December. He moved out in October.
There is no relationship after this.
Just kind of still an envelope, we just kind of part ways.
And now the next case.
Your Honor, this is case number 195 on the calendar in the matter of Arnold versus Mealy. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Arnold, I've read your complaint. The defendant is your former boyfriend. You have a child together.
Yes.
According to your complaint, you made a loan to him to have his car fixed. You want your money back. That was while you were living together. And that subsequent to your separating, you purchased cell phones. And he was supposed to pay his bill. He didn't pay his bill. You also want him to pay for his cell phone.
Yes.
The defendant says that the money that you did, in fact, give him to have his car fixed was just that, a gift, that he provided all the support for you and his child while you were living in an apartment together, that the phone was something that he purchased, and he paid for that, and he paid for the 1 month's worth of service that he actually used the phone, and then you shut the phone off. He has a counterclaim because he says that in April, at the time that the two of you separated, you had him falsely arrested for domestic violence, and he believes he should be compensated for the 27 hours that he spent in a police precinct. Is that correct, sir?
Correct.
Okay. On what date, Mr. Mealy, were you arrested for domestic violence?
April 3rd, 2006.
And at that time, how long had you and Miss Arnold been living together?
We'd been living together for a little over a year.
Now, Miss Arnold, in the year that you were living together, you were living in an apartment. Is that right?
Correct. We lived in the apartment just from December to April.
And when was your child born?
January 24th, 2006.
Keep your voice up, please.
Okay.
So from the time you moved into the apartment, I assume, until the time that you separated in April, you were not working.
I had one job for about 2 weeks.
So you were not working?
No.
And Mr. Mealy was supporting the household?
Yes.
He was paying the rent?
Yes.
He was paying for food?
Yes.
He was paying the gas, electric, and utilities?
Yes.
Paid for the expenses of the baby at home?
Mostly.
Well, you didn't. So if...
No, but state helped.
How much did the state help?
I believe I got, well, right, as soon as I moved out, I got $440, and he has paid $1 towards child support in the last 3 months.
I'm not asking you that.
Okay.
I'm asking you from December until April.
Pretty much all of it.
So he paid for everything?
Yes.
And you put the car repairs on your credit card?
Part of them, yes.
$600 worth?
I put $210 down on my credit card, and I'm making payments for the rest.
How much in total?
I believe the total was $558.
$558. So for the 4 months that you lived together, your capital contribution was $558.
Yes.
That seem reasonable to you?
No, but I did have the baby.
So what? So did millions of other people, madam.
I just think it's kind of hard to work being 9 months pregnant. And...
You working now?
No.
Where are you living?
I just got a triplex with my boyfriend.
With your boyfriend?
Yes.
Well, you didn't just have a baby and you're not 9 months pregnant, so how come you're not working?
I'm looking for a job.
Well, you've been looking for a long time. Your baby was born in January. So first your baby was born, then you had state aid, now you found another boyfriend to support you. Let's hear what happened in April on the 3rd, sir.
April of the 3rd, I picked Destiny up from Albertsons at the job she said she did have for 2 weeks on her lunch break. I lived 1 block from the Albertsons that she worked at.
When you say you lived there, is that where you lived together?
No, she'd actually moved out.
Okay, so she moved out and you were picking her up from work anyway?
Yeah, she asked me to come and pick her up for lunch.
Okay.
And I did so. I went down and I picked Destiny up for lunch. I brought her to my apartment.
Where was the baby?
With her mother.
Okay, so you brought her to your apartment. Is that where she wanted to go?
Yes.
For what?
For lunch.
Okay.
And at that time, me and Destiny started arguing.
What were you arguing about?
We had a car that we purchased together, and Destiny's sister's ex-fiance was the dealer of that car, and he had not sent the stuff into the state, and Destiny went back to him and asked him to change it because she was going to leave me. And
you mean to change the title?
Change the title. And he
to her name?
He rewrote the whole title to her name.
When was the car purchased?
In November of 2005.
In November of 2005, where did the money come to purchase the car?
Destiny had a car previous to that. It was a Pontiac Grand Am. We sold that car and used that money to put the down payment for that car. I supported that car and I paid for all the repairs, fixings.
From November until April?
No, from when Destiny first moved out.
Which was when?
In August 2005.
So from August 2005 until April?
Yes.
You made the payments on the car?
I made the insurance payments as well as the car repairs for both the Jeep and the Grand Am.
Who made the car payment?
Destiny had moved out and she used the state's aid for the car payment.
So you were both paying something for the car?
Correct.
Now I understand what the argument was about. You were annoyed that for whatever you put into the car, you were getting nothing.
Yes, and...
Okay, fine. So that's what the argument was about. Now, what happened during the course of that argument? Because it escalated and the police were ultimately called.
Destiny also was selling my stuff on eBay.
What stuff?
Video game consoles. I had a very large collection of almost every game console. And
I don't know what that is.
The PlayStations, a Sega Saturn, and Destiny was selling on eBay. I then asked for Destiny's keys back. She said no.
You mean she was taking your property out of your house?
Yes.
Were you selling his property on eBay?
The
answer is either yes or no.
Technically, no. We both owned the game consoles. I had talked to him about this. We sold them on eBay, and we split the sharing.
Split the what?
We split the money that we received from it. He made a credit card payment, and I made a payment to Les Schwab from the tires that I bought for him.
I'm not talking about tires. I'm asking you whether you were selling his property on eBay.
I know. Technically, it was both of our property, and we split the money that we got from eBay.
So then there were arguments. So you asked for her keys back because you said she was taking stuff from your house.
Correct.
And she wasn't living there anymore.
Correct.
Good. Okay. And what happened when you asked for the keys back?
She denied me the keys and said
What did she say?
She had more stuff inside the house. She wanted to move out. Her keys were then sitting on top of her purse. I pulled them out, and that's when Destiny grabbed for the keys back, and I refused to
Give them back.
Give them back.
Go ahead.
Destiny did scratch my arm. I had scratches on my arm, and that is in the police report. However, the police report would not be released to me.
Just listen to me. After you grabbed the keys, by the way, whose name is on the lease?
Mine.
And she had moved out when?
She moved out in July.
She moved out in July. She was still coming around in April?
Yes.
Is that right?
No.
When did you move out?
I moved out of the apartment in April.
When did you stop sleeping there?
April.
Is that right?
Yes.
I thought you said she moved out in July.
It was the end of July, beginning of April. June.
Mr. Mealy, you want to go over the months again?
I have my months confused.
So you had not been sleeping in the apartment. You already broke up.
Yes.
Is that right? And you moved out, and you moved in with your mother.
Yes.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You told the police that he probably scratched himself to get you in trouble.
I wasn't sure what had happened. I did not recall touching him at all.
That's too bad.
And later today,
What she's telling me, sir, is that she actually did break the equipment, in so many words. She said, well, it started to fall, and I sort of helped it.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Destiny Arnold claims the father of her child, Nicholas Mealy, owes for car repair costs and a cell phone bill. Nicholas is countersuing, claiming Destiny had him falsely arrested for domestic violence.
Now, when you had this argument over the keys, you say that she scratched you.
Yes.
Did you touch her?
I pushed her hands away off of scratching me, yes.
Who called the police?
I did. We both did.
Who called the police first?
I did.
And where was she when you called the police?
She was outside, standing by her car.
How did you get outside?
When he ripped my purse from my hands to get my keys, I told him I was going to call the police. I ran to the next door neighbor and nobody was home. When I ran back into his apartment to grab my purse off the counter where he had put it, he was on the phone with the police telling them that I was hitting him and pushing him. So I grabbed my purse and my phone and I walked outside to the parking lot and I called the police.
So he called the police first?
Yes.
Did you have any visible marks or bruises on you?
No, ma'am.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
That.
What happened, Miss Arnold, when you went to the neighbor's house?
Nobody was home.
What did you go to the neighbor's house for?
To call the police. He had taken my phone and my purse from me.
What were you calling the police about?
He had ripped my purse from me. And
So you were calling the police because he took your purse?
Yes.
Miss Arnold, you weren't honest with the police.
Yes, I was.
No, you weren't. According to the police officer, you said that he assaulted you. That's not true.
He ripped...
That's not true.
Okay.
He did not assault you. He did not assault you. Took your purse because he wanted the keys. Not a smart thing to do, but he did not assault you. And the police officer noted scratch marks on him, nothing on you.
Correct.
I have no idea why he was arrested. And you told the police that he probably scratched himself to get you in trouble.
I wasn't sure what had happened. I did not recall touching him at all.
Well, that's going to be an expensive fib and an expensive scratch, Miss Arnold.
I really don't remember touching him.
That's too bad. I believe him.
Okay.
And I believe that it's an unfortunate breakup. She used her influence with the dealership to change the title to a car, which she knew you had an interest in. According to the police, she acknowledged to the police that she destroyed the sales agreement, which listed you as a co-owner of the car, and had the papers changed because that was what the dispute was about. You know, if things don't work out, Miss Arnold, they don't work out. But you're supposed to be fair and reasonable. I don't think you were fair and reasonable at all. So that's going to cost you. So I don't even have to deal with your claim. You're not supposed to make false reports about people. There's no question in my mind that if he had assaulted you and you went to a neighbor's house because you wanted your pocketbook back, if he had assaulted you, you would not have gone back into the apartment. You would have gone yet to another neighbor. But certainly if one is in fear of their life or their physical situation, they don't go back to the same environment. They leave. You chose not to do that. You chose to go back, which suggests to me you weren't in fear. You knew he wasn't going to hit you. You knew he wasn't going to put his hands on you. Yeah. And the only reason, put your hand down, and the only reason you called the police is because when you came into the apartment, he was on the phone with the police.
He is an abusive man. He has taped the binky into our daughter's mouth. My mom had seen him push
Listen to me. Stop making up stories. Sounds to me as if however old you are. How old are you, 20?
18.
18. Well, you already have a baby with one man. You moved in with your mother. Now you moved into another apartment with yet a new boyfriend. Sounds to me your life is going in a downward spiral. I suggest you fix it.
Okay.
Judgment on the counterclaim for the amount of $2,000. Your claim is subsumed by the counterclaim, which means it's taken care of by the counterclaim. That's all.
Thank you. Parties are excused. May step out.
He will not see her. He will not have any contact with her.
They can say what they want and lie about what they want.
I will be going to get full custody.
Those are just comments.
And I know he will never see her.
All parties in the matter of Doherty versus Candell, step forward, please.
20-year-old Jennifer Doherty is suing her ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Michael Candell, for money owed on a credit card. Jennifer claims she used her credit to help Michael pay off his debt.
He used to be your boyfriend. According to my complaint, you tell me that you consolidated all of his high-interest credit cards on a new credit card that was a low interest rate, unfortunately, in your name. Then you broke up.
Yes, we did, Your Honor.
And according to you, he didn't pay you.
Yes, he paid me $300 of the balance.
Mr. Candell says that he... Candell?
Yeah. Yes, Your Honor.
Says that he paid you back everything that you agreed on. How long was he your boyfriend?
3 years.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I am a nursing assistant at a Frankfurt Torso hospital, and I'm a cake decorator at a local bakery, and I babysit part-time. And I'm going into my senior year of nursing school.
And what about you, sir?
I bartend, and I work at a hospital doing transportation.
Who do you live with?
I live with my mom and my two brothers.
So you don't have big expenses?
No, I give my mom money each month to help.
How much?
Usually $250 a month. Plus, I pay for a car.
Whose car?
Well, it's in my mom's name, but I pay for it.
Because you drive it.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Now tell me why you got yourself in the hole with these credit cards, sir.
Well, I wasn't really in the hole. I was able to afford them each month. We were going on a trip. Well, my friend was getting married in Jamaica. She wanted to go out. I told her I didn't have the money. I was waiting for my income tax check to come in to help pay off the bills. And she's like, well, I want to go. I'll pay for it, like, as a present. So I was like, all right, that's fine.
Just a minute. This is your friend who's getting married in Jamaica.
Yeah, well, we're both our friends.
Your friend or hers?
My friend, but she's friends with him through me.
When was the last time you saw this friend?
Yesterday.
When was the last time you saw this friend?
This morning, because he's here.
Really? He's here for what?
I guess support for him.
Where is he?
Somewhere around, I don't know. He's hanging out somewhere around.
Well, what'd you bring him for?
Just for going to L.A. It was like, all right, let's go hang out.
There are days I like this job better than others. Okay, so it's your friend, and you saw him this morning?
Yes.
Here?
Yes.
You didn't see him yesterday?
No.
No. You brought him out here, so I assume he remains your friend. You've got custody of him after the breakup. And you were expecting an income tax check.
Yeah. Yes.
But she said, I'll give you this trip to Jamaica as a present.
Yeah. Yes.
And how much were you getting back?
$1,100 and some odd dollars.
What did you do with the income tax refund?
It went right into her bank account.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, great. How much was put all on this one credit card of hers that had low interest?
I think it was like $1,800 and some dollars.
How much was it?
It was $2,336.78.
Show him.
Yeah, I don't wear Victoria's Secret, though.
No, that's mine. That's why it's not highlighted.
Just the highlighted items, sir. Read just the highlighted items
Now?
to yourself.
Okay.
Now, do any of those highlighted items look as if they're not your charges?
Well, the one thing is the Sprint Wireless. I gave her money back. I paid her that aside, like we were agreed, $100 a month, and I gave her that back.
So you want me to deduct the Sprint Wireless from that? Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
And how much is the Sprint Wireless?
$214.61.
Okay. Anything else there that doesn't look right?
No. That's
All
about
looks right then. Okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Kendall, I just have a question. Did your hair do that naturally, or do you have to work on it in the morning?
Oh, it's hard.
Hard. Okay. Now, how much did you pay her back?
Well, the $1,100 from my income tax. And
Did
then
she give you back $1,100 for his income?
No, we did not. I went towards to pay off the trip. I did not take him for a present to his friend's wedding.
No, I don't believe that you did. There's no question in my mind that you did not take him as a present to his friend's wedding.
Exactly.
Okay. How much was the trip to Jamaica?
$1,640 apiece.
$1,640. And how much did he pay you back for that?
He gave me $1,100 towards it, and then he paid the rest himself.
He did pay the rest
Yes,
himself?
he did.
Okay, so we're just talking now about the credit card.
Yes, we are.
Mind.
What?
I didn't pay the other $500.
Yes,
She
you
paid
did.
it.
Shh. What are the $500?
The $1,100 I gave her out of the income tax check. She paid the other $500. I never paid that.
Yes, you did. You gave me money.
Don't answer him.
Okay.
Well, you don't want me to make an order for more money, do you?
I mean, it was she told me, she's like, I'll take you out here, you know.
Listen to me. I don't believe she took you as a present to your friend's wedding.
Okay.
I want you to understand that. We're moving on from that. Now, she's only dealing with the credit card bills that you looked at, which total, according to you, deducting the Sprint, $21.22. Did you pay her any money from that?
Yes.
How much?
I was giving her $100 each month.
For how long?
3 months. I gave her $300 so far.
Well, if the trip to Jamaica was $1,640 and you gave her $1,100 and you gave her an additional $300, that's $1,400. You still owe her a couple $100 for Jamaica, plus the $21.22.
But the Jamaica thing was a trip. The thing is, with that...
I just told you.
I understand, but the thing is, once we broke up, she started sleeping with one of my friends, and
No, it has nothing to do with that.
She basically, we had a break up, and she...
Listen, my microphone went over here where it shouldn't be. Mr. Kendall, I don't care whether she slept with the King of Siam. I'm talking about $21.22 in credit card bills, sir.
I thought it was $20.36.
$21.22. I've given you credit for the Sprint bill.
Oh, okay, cool.
$21.22. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parties are excused when they step out.
I'm just glad it's over and done with, and I can go on with my life and pay off the credit card and get rid of it.
We had a breakup.
We broke up. We were having some problems, but I'm glad we're over and done with.
Too good. That is huge.
That's just a brilliantly aggressive shot. Gets onto the front foot and it's flown over the boundary. Can he come back with a dot ball?
Oh, whack. Rocked back and pulled away for a maximum. Great shot.
This batter is brilliant off the back foot. Transfers their weight back and pulls it away for a maximum.
Playing all their shots in that over, a very expensive over. Shamsi, the left-arm unorthodox bowler, is coming into the attack from the north end. Shamsi with a huge appeal. Oh, that's LBW. Starts the over with a wicket. Look to have pitch in line and hitting live. We'll see what Big Eye shows in the review.
Now, I didn't pick up on anything there. Very close to the bat, though. Was there a bat on it? The fielders think there was. This could be